The Panama Canal, it's more than just a waterway. It's one of the most powerful choke points in the world. And for over a century, it's played a silent but crucial role in shaping global trade and military movement. Today, this man-made marvel is at the center of a modern-day power struggle. Not just between Panama and the world, but between two giants, the United States and China. The story begins in the early 1900s, after France failed to complete the project. The United States stepped in, but first, Washington helped Panama gain independence from Colombia in 1903. Not out of pure goodwill, but to secure a deal. By 1914, the canal was completed under US control. It gave America a strategic advantage, allowing ships, including military vessels, to move swiftly between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. For 85 years, the US maintained total control, turning this Central American nation into a geopolitical chess piece. But the tide began to shift in 1977 when US President Jimmy Carter signed the Torrijos-Carter treaties, agreeing to hand the canal back to Panama by end of 1999. And on December 31st of that year, control was fully transferred. For the first time, Panama held its most valuable assets in its own hands. Now free to make its own decisions, Panama started looking for partners to modernize and expand its infrastructure. At that time, Taiwan had diplomatic ties with Panama and was offering some support. But then came China. In 2017, Panama broke off relations with Taiwan and officially recognized the People's Republic of China. Why? Because Beijing came bearing gifts, promises of billions in investments, logistics infrastructure, and inclusion in China's global belt and road initiatives. Chinese companies, especially port operator Hutchison Whampoa, secured contracts to manage terminals on both ends of canal. Not the canal itself, but the strategic areas around it. Panama welcomed the deals. For them, it wasn't about ideology, it was about opportunity. China was building bridges, ports, and even proposing a railway to Costa Rica. In short, China wasn't taking a canal by force, it was buying influence one contract at a time. And all this while America watched, or maybe snoozed. For years, the US seemed to overlook China's growing influence in Latin America. But now, in April 2025, things have changed dramatically. Donald Trump is back in the White House after winning the 2024 US election. And one of the first targets of his administration's renewed foreign policy. And what was that? The Panama Canal.
As we speak, US-based military units are involved in joint exercises, planning, and other forms of cooperation with our Panamanian partners on both the Atlantic and Pacific sides of the canal.
The Trump administration has now publicly expressed concerns over China's influence in Panama. Reports suggest they are pushing for expanded military cooperation, greater surveillance rights, and even especially passage deals for American warships, all under the banner of protecting trade security. Some US officials have gone as far as calling China's investment in Panama a soft invasion, warning that Beijing could use its economic leverage to control or monitor global trade flow. Panama now finds itself under immense pressure. While the country values its partnership with China, it also depends heavily on US trade. About 66% of canal's cargo is tied to the US economy. Chinese trade through the canal is growing fast, but the US remains the dominant user. Panama is now trying to balance both sides, welcoming investments from China, avoiding provocation from the United States. So what's really at stake here? The Panama Canal handles over 13,000 vessels annually and move about 6% of total global maritime trade. The route cuts travel distance by thousands of miles, saving billions in shipping cost each year. With new climate changes like droughts reducing the canal's water level, the situation is becoming more complex. Though operated today by Panama Canal Authority, an autonomous government agency, the canal is surrounded by strategic infrastructure that is increasingly influenced by foreign powers. China is still investing, the US is now returning, and Panama, it stands in the middle of a high-stakes geopolitical tug of war. In the end, the Panama Canal is more than just a shortcut between two oceans. It's a front line in the global competition for influence, a competition where trade diplomacy and even military strategy collide. As Trump pushes back and China digs in, one thing is clear: the quiet waters of Panama Canal may soon ripple with the currents of very loud global power struggle.